International Airport in the middle of the Southwest delay cancel crisis. I got here yesterday at 5 o'clock, Sunday. My flight was supposed to be at 7:30. It got canceled at 8 because we had no flight attendants. Southwest also had no available hotels to put us in, so I had to rent one on my own because I desperately needed a shower and a bed to sleep in. I woke up to a text that my rebooked flight that was actually going to Philly got canceled. So I had to rebook. I am rebooked on a flight for DC tonight at 9. There is a possibility that could get canceled. So my dilemma right now is, do I stay in?
Ooh, what a dilemma. That's a clip of Good Day DC producer Bregan sharing her flight frustrations yesterday, traveling from Florida back to DC. Now, fortunately, she made it back safely. She's here today, but travel headaches continue for thousands of passengers after Southwest Airlines canceled nearly 2,000 flights over the weekend. And to make matters worse, this kind of travel mess might continue through the holidays. So this morning, we have travel expert Troy Petenbrink joining us now to talk about all of this and sort it through, and we certainly need you today. We've heard many reasons as to why this has happened with Southwest. What do you feel were the factors that played into this big mess that we saw over the weekend and still today?
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of different factors here that played into it for Southwest. It was almost a perfect storm. I mean, first we had some air traffic control issues down in Florida, and then nearly 50% of Southwest flights touch Florida at some point, either through departures, connections, arrivals, that sort of thing. So that happened. In addition to that, they're having staffing shortages, which is actually something all the airlines are dealing with. I know you mentioned whether or not this will be an issue for the holiday season. I think it's certainly a little bit of foreshadowing taking place here. So all those things combined is definitely what contributed to this. I will say that we've heard a lot about whether or not the vaccine mandate played into that. We're hearing from the pilots and the flight attendants that that's absolutely not the case. I think it's important to note that all the airlines pretty much have vaccine mandates right now. They were not affected by this. I do think Southwest is being honest when they say it was a combination of the air traffic control issues and the staffing.
We know that other airlines had similar issues, but not to the degree that Southwest has. Why is that?
Well, again, like I mentioned before, a huge number of Southwest flights touch down in Florida. And this is one of the problems that we've seen in the airline industry over the last few years. There's a lot of consolidation of routes and almost kind of for lack of better words, a colluding among the airlines to say, well, you can have this part of the country, I'll have this part of the country. So unfortunately, the hammer fell on Southwest this time, but it could have very easily been an issue if this had happened, say, in Texas, or those sort of things where we would have seen one of the other carriers dealing with a lot of the same issues. And let's not forget that earlier this year, we did see American Airlines canceling a huge number of their flights as well. So it does happen to anyone, unfortunately.
And we know that Spirit had issues just a few weeks ago. You took me into my next question. You actually answered it about should people reconsider flying Southwest, but you're saying it was them this time. It could be another next.
But I do think, though, it's important to realize, though, that Southwest definitely has a certain size capacity issues. You know, if you're looking at some of the larger carriers, you might want to consider using one of the airlines.
Okay. Speaking of holiday travel, a lot of people are in the thick of planning that right now. What can people do to respond or maybe even avoid it? And you really can't avoid it, but respond to this sort of issue that's really out of your control moving forward.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There are certainly a lot of this that's out of our control, but there are certain things that we can do. And I mentioned one of them already, which is the idea of looking at maybe one of the larger legacy carriers, the American Airlines, United, Delta. Part of that is because they have more flight options and more planes right now operating. Southwest cut way back, so that's an issue as they all staff up. The other thing to look at is book a morning departure time. That way, if there's a delay, there's a greater likelihood that there's going to be another flight after that, and maybe a few other flights that day. If you're booking the last flight of the day, because oftentimes, you know, it's our vacation, we want to take that last flight. Well, if that gets canceled, you're there for the night. So definitely look at that. The other thing, because this is seasonal travel, look at avoiding certain routes that traditionally have problems. Don't connect through Colorado in the middle of winter. You know, take a connection that's going to go through the south. Sign up for travel alerts. Make sure you know ahead of time if there is a problem. Don't be at the airport finding out last minute. And then also, you need to be proactive about rebooking and compensation. Unfortunately, in the United States, our passenger bill of rights are pretty weak. And you need to be an advocate for yourself. Find out why that flight was canceled. Find out what they're going to do for you. And definitely know your options and your rights.
All right. Have to know what you're entitled to if you get stuck. Thanks so much, Troy. We appreciate it. Great advice, and I'm
My
sure we'll
pleasure.
check back in. Thanks so much. All right, guys, back to you.